In an effort to try something a little different, I wanted to create a couple of videos centered around a game I've been playing a lot recently, Friday the 13th, the game. This title falls under the category of asymmetric competitive multiplayer. That is, one player controls an overpowered Jason and the remaining players control camp counselors that work together to survive. Up to a max of 8 players are involved in a standard match, though there could be 8 counselors to kill due to a function within the game that allows you to call Tommy Jarvis, bringing back a previously escaped or killed player. The game is fairly simple. If you're a counselor, you need to find a means to survive either by escaping the map or simply stay alive for 20 minutes. If you're Jason, your goal is to kill as many camp counselors as possible. The game is all about part and parcel credit. You get XP for simply participating to the game's conclusion. You'll earn additional XP for surviving and what you contributed to the game. And if you're Jason, you're graded more on raw kill count and variety of techniques used when killing the counselors. This video will center upon the counselors. I figured this video was more appropriate first, given that 9 times out of 10 you'll be playing as one. Jason, on the other hand, is a character you'll play infrequently. Since you'll be spending more of your time in the shoes of a counselor, it would be best to familiarize yourself with how to play them and how to survive the night. There are 8 counselors you can take control of. Each counselor, unlike the counselors of the original Friday the 13th on NES, are viable. They each possess a different assortment of various stats, which make them suited to certain tasks and weaken others. First, let's cover the different stats you'll be weighing. The first stat is Composure, which measures how well the counselor copes with fear. The higher the stat, the less likely they are to be affected by situations which would normally increase their fear. Fear is a condition which not only makes it easier for Jason to sense you from a short distance, but also makes it more difficult for you to escape Jason's grasp when he grabs you. It can also lead to your minimap disappearing when you're at high levels of fear, which is meant to represent your mental faculties breaking down as a result of high stress. Next up is Luck, which increases weapon durability and your chance to stun Jason. It also gives small increases to numerous other stats, leading to less stamina lost during certain actions and more stamina gained in the reverse. It also gives you a small chance to not take any damage when climbing over a broken window. Repair, often called intelligence by most players, is a measure of how effective you are when repairing objects. The higher this is, the quicker you'll be able to finish the job, and the easier it is to avoid making mistakes, which gives a subtle sound cue to Jason of your location. When repairing any objects, it is advised that counselors of high ability perform these tasks in order to lessen the chance that a smart Jason will intercept your attempt to escape before it's even begun. Speed is exactly what it says on the tin, a measure of your character's raw movement speed. The higher this is, the harder it is for Jason to catch up with you through sheer attrition. Stamina is a measure of your character's energy to expend performing actions, but more importantly is your sprint bar. So in essence, the higher your stamina, the longer you can sprint for before being reduced to a jogging speed. This stat coupled with a high speed stat will make it very difficult for Jason to catch you unless he attempts to outsmart you. Stealth is a measure of your character's ability to navigate the map without making noise. The higher this is, the closer Jason has to be to hear you. A low stealth stat and Jason can get an idea of your location and heading from much farther away. Finally, we have Strength. It increases the amount of damage dealt, reduces stamina consumption when using weapons, and increases the chance of stunning Jason. Taking all this into account, we can see what role each character plays and how to best utilize them to help the team. Let's run through them quickly. Kenny Rydell, Jenny Myers, and Chad Kensington are your general support characters. Kenny is a jack of all trades, but master of none, having entirely average stats, making him serviceable for anything, while Jenny and Chad, having high luck, make them excellent at getting stuns and knockdowns on Jason. They should coordinate and assist other players with more specialized roles and defend them from Jason when necessary. On similar terms, you have Brandon Bugsy Wilson and Adam Palomino. These guys stand out and thus are not good at sneaking around Jason, but they have high strength and in the case of Bugsy, also high stamina and speed. Adam is a bread and butter defender, while Bugsy is good as a distraction, luring Jason away from other counselors and when cornered, having a good chance to keep the pursuit going, possibly to the point where Jason gets annoyed and decides to go after someone else. Vanessa Jones is the fastest and most reliable runner in the game, as well as above average luck, but every other stat pays a heavy price, particularly stealth. Let me put it blunt. Vanessa is a distraction. You will be found, usually first, and your role is A, running important items to counselors that can utilize it, and B, drawing Jason's attention and leading him on a wild goose chase. I can't stress how much of a double-edged sword Vanessa is, because since she can cover so much ground, she can meet up with counselors fast, but since she's so easy to spot, she's basically a Jason magnet. If you're playing as Vanessa, try to stay away from other counselors, and if you're playing a stealth-based counselor, avoid Vanessa and Bugsy players. Other characters also have bad stealth and composure too, but since they're also slow, you're less likely to run into them. Finally, we have the stealthy characters, such as AJ Mason, Deborah Kim, Eric J.R. LaChapa, and Tiffany Cox. You'll notice I almost exclusively play as AJ Mason. She has perfect stealth and a high composure, making her very hard for Jason to spot. All 4 characters are fairly stealthy and have a decent repair stat, making them useful for facilitating escapes. All except Tiffany Cox. She has an absolute shit repair stat and makes up for it with high speed and decent stamina, meaning if she is spotted, she can flee the situation. That being said, please do not attempt to repair anything as Tiffany, as it will take her days to do so, and she will more than likely alert Jason players. There is one more character to mention, and that is Tommy Jarvis, a character that can't be played normally. First, a counselor needs to find the CB radio in a random cabin and complete the interaction to call Tommy. Afterward, a random killed or escaped player will be selected to return to the camp as him. Tommy Jarvis has the best stats in the game, all capped at 10, and he comes equipped with a single round shotgun, giving him a means to knock Jason down with a well-placed shot. If you're playing as Tommy, think of it as a second chance to escape and do what you usually do. Helping other counselors deal with Jason is a good plan. Tommy is also the only character that can kill Jason, but that requires a series of steps that necessitates coordination between teammates, and I'll cover that later in the video. I should also mention that counselors can equip various perks that give them an edge, and finding the best perks will help out a lot. But starting this game up new, you won't have any points to spend on these perks. I'm going to cover the meat of the game first, and touch upon the perks later as well. There are 3 maps in the game: Camp Crystal Lake, Higgins Haven, and Packanack Lodge. Each map is statically different, meaning that things that remain the same on each map are unique to that map. However, each game has some randomly generated elements. Camp Crystal Lake has 15 cabins and 3 special buildings. The archery range doesn't count because it's not a building, and I've never found anything useful there. Packanack Lodge has 14 cabins and 1 special building. Higgins Haven is the tiniest map with only 12 cabins and 2 special buildings, as well as a graveyard, which is oddly appropriate. I mentioned the graveyard because unlike the archery range, you can sometimes find first aid spray in this area. While the breakdown of every map I listed is fixed, various elements within the map are randomized, such as what escape options you're given, what items are found in cabins, and spawn points. Speaking of maps, if you're loading into Packanack Lodge or Higgins Haven and spawn inside the lodge, leave immediately. Some Jason players go for the easy kills by morphing to this part of the map as soon as the game starts, and from my experience, 2 players seem to always spawn inside the lodge at the beginning of the game. What is worse, in fact, is the lodge doors aren't like typical cabin doors that can be barricaded. They can only be locked. These doors simply don't hold Jason for that long. One good whack is all he needs to break in. Also, going back to the randomized elements, this means that even if car escape is a possibility, because there is a car on the map, there's no guarantee that car keys even spawned within the map. Calling the police is always an option in any match, but whether or not the phone box view spawns is random. This means you always have to think on your feet and adjust to the way the game is going. Don't be single-minded, especially because sometimes everything can spawn to your benefit only to be ruined because someone nicked the car keys and didn't tell anyone and then died in a field somewhere. When you spawn, your first order of business is to run into the first cabin you see, close the door and barricade it. Also find any other door in the cabin and barricade that too. If you begin searching without securing the cabin, you'll start slowly building fear, and you want to keep that at bay for as long as possible. Search all the drawers for items and pick up the best weapon at your disposal. When you're done searching the cabin, open a window and climb through it, and go to the next nearest cabin to repeat the process. If there is a player in a cabin already, leave them be, and find another cabin to raid. It does no good for 2 players to tear a cabin apart. Keep searching for items and paying attention to the game status, and an opportunity should present itself. We'll need to go over the various items you'll come across in-game, so that you know what to look for. First, let's cover the small items. These items are used and disposed, and mostly are to help you outlive Jason. First aid spray, a la Resident Evil, is used to recover your health. There is no health bar in-game, and instead damage is represented on your character as varying degrees of laceration. Get too injured and you'll limp, removing the ability to sprint. This is where the spray comes in handy, allowing you to avoid this, because if Jason is pursuing you and you're limping, you're pretty much a sitting duck. Firecrackers are used as a stun tactic. When dropped on the ground, they'll begin to explode, causing a cacophony of sound distraction, but more importantly, if Jason walks too close, it will stun him for a short time. This is good for escaping situations where Jason has cornered you, or as a last-ditch effort to break his grasp if you throw it just as he grabs you. The pocket knife is probably the most useful item in the game. It doesn't need to actively be used, just carried. When Jason grabs you, you will automatically stab him in the neck and escape his grasp. This will also stun him for a short time, giving you a small window to create distance. There are a couple of items that do not take up an inventory slot that you'll find in your travels, namely the walkie-talkie, which allows you to communicate with counselors long distance over voice chat, and the map, which lets you see where you and other counselors are, and also the locations of various cabins, buildings, and vehicles. There are various melee weapons which are considered big items. They all function differently with different swing speeds and stun rates. The best weapon in terms of stun potential is the baseball bat, but it's hard to come by. In general, blunt instruments are better for stuns, so a machete may seem like a good pick, but it actually has a bad stun rate, made up for by its fast attack speed. Essentially, you want to trade weapons up as you find them. In general, having any weapon is better than no weapon. Another item that is considered big is the bear trap, randomly found inside cabins. If you're going to use it, set it in front of a barricaded door, as counselors will use windows to go from cabin to cabin. This way, if Jason breaks through, he'll get caught in it, but I rarely use them because some counselors are idiots and will not pay any attention, walk over a trap when injured, and you'll be pegged with the betrayal, meaning you'll earn no XP for that match. There are two single-use big items to mention as well, the shotgun and the flare gun. Both are excellent at engaging stuns, the shotgun being better of course, as it can literally knock Jason down. The flare gun is good for an almost guaranteed stun when aimed at center mass, but the real length stun comes from shooting him in the head. That being said, these are single-use weapons, so missing the shot is the worst thing to do. Go for the safe shot if you don't feel too confident to get the crit. The remaining big items are escape parts. The battery, gas can, and propeller are found randomly in cabins lying around, with the exception of the propeller, which can be found in drawers. They are used to fix up the car and boat respectively. Bear in mind, since there are big items, you cannot carry a weapon with you. You must take the item to where it's needed in a vulnerable state. Having some useful small items on you may make it easier. Finally, there are two items crucial to escape that are small items and hence take up a space in your inventory. The car keys, which are self-explanatory, and the fuse, which is used to fix up the phone box to allow you to call the police. There are 5 methods that can be utilized to win the game and survive. Only 3 of these methods are constant, while the other 2 can vary. But bear in mind, no method is guaranteed to even be available even if it's listed. As I mentioned before, a boat can be on the map, but the propeller may not spawn, meaning the boat is a red herring. I'll list each method in order of easiest to most difficult. The easiest method to win is by calling the police and escaping the map on foot. While I say easiest, this method is very influenced by randomization. The first issue is the fuse may not spawn at all, and if it does, it spawns in a random cabin. After it's found, you need to find the phone box, which is located outside of another random cabin. The only trends I've noticed is that phone boxes are sometimes located near power boxes, which doesn't help much since a counselor's map doesn't list these locations, and on occasion, phone boxes tend to also appear outside the lodge building in Packanack or Higgins Haven. Essentially, if you find the fuse, you should try to travel to every cabin and locate the box outside, but don't attempt to repair it if you're playing a character with a low repair stat. Every time you screw up, a subtle sound cue plays which can tip off alert Jason players. After you repair the box, you need to go inside the cabin and find the phone, and complete the interaction. Once it's complete, a 5-minute countdown begins. Jason will also be alerted that the call was made, so I would flee the area if it decides to morph there and take revenge on the counselor. After the 5 minutes pass, the police will arrive at one of the exits of the map. This is always different in each game. A strategy I utilize is if the police are called, I run over to one of the exits and crouch nearby to wait out the clock. You have a 50% chance to be right, so if you chose wisely, you can escape as soon as the police exit opens. If you're wrong, there's no real penalty, as a Jason player will morph to the actual exit to block incoming players. If you're traveling to the exit and Jason is blocking, be sure to carry some items that can assist you in getting past him, such as firecrackers, a pocket knife, a flare gun, or shotgun. The more you have to deny him, the more likely you'll escape the map alive. The second option is to escape by car. A car will always spawn on the map. In the event no boat is present, 2 cars will spawn. However, one car is yellow and can only support 2 players, while the blue car can hold up to 4. In the event only one car spawns, the blue car will be spawned. To use this method, 3 items need to be found: a set of car keys, a battery, and a gas can. The battery and gas need to be applied with a repair minigame, after which the player with the keys can enter and turn on the car. Once the car is on, all other players can take a seat. While alerting Jason can be avoided if the repairs are done without mistakes, once the car is on, Jason will know and will be able to track your heading on the map. When driving, it's a good idea to go at a somewhat fast pace, but be ready to pump the brakes because if Jason morphs in front of you and you crash into him, you'll be sitting ducks. If you manage to avoid crashing into him, you need to do your best to weave around him. Once you've got this done, it's pretty much impossible for him to stop you. Morphing is Jason's key tactic for stopping a car. Without it, he's hopeless. Shifting doesn't go fast enough to catch the car, so Jason only has one good shot to stop counselors fleeing using this method. One thing to note is you won't be able to pull up your map when driving. You should plot your course before turning the car on or else you may get lost. Also, on some maps, what may seem like an exit is definitely not. So don't make that mistake. Check your map before starting the car. The next option available to you is the last resort when you've exhausted all other methods, yet is more likely than the last two. Simply wait it out the full 20 minutes. Stay alive for that long, and you'll win. This can be accomplished by hiding well enough to where Jason can't find you, or even if Jason is pursuing you, being good enough in kiting Jason that he can't get the kill and the time runs out. Or, in rare instances, some Jasons get so annoyed they leave the match. Not much more to say about this one. Survive by any means necessary. The fourth option is to escape by boat. This may seem easier than the car. After all, you'll need a tank of gas and a propeller. The boat can accommodate 2 counselors. The issue is if Jason is aware you're escaping by boat, you're probably not going to make it. The car is one thing. Jason can't move fast enough on foot to stop the car. Morph is his only saving grace. The boat, on the other hand, has to travel by water, where Jason can move his fastest. If he decides to react to the boat, you're pretty much screwed. The boat is best utilized when you have a good idea that Jason may be tied up with something else and won't shift his attention elsewhere. If you're working with friends, try to get a signal when Jason is used as morph. That way, you know he can't get to you. But being unprepared when leaving by boat means you'll more than likely get tipped over, and once that happens, you either get killed by Jason in the water instantly, or you manage to make it to shore, only to have exhausted all your stamina and be easy pickings once Jason finds you. The final method is to kill Jason. This is the hardest method because it requires at least 2 people, one being a female counselor and the other being Tommy. You need some good team coordination to pull this off, and a Jason that knows what he's doing will do everything they can to stop you. I'll list the steps, even though you'll hardly see this in regular games. First, you need someone to come back as Tommy. This player needs to drop the shotgun and either equip a machete or an axe. Second, a female counselor needs to find Jason's shack and take his mom's sweater. Be wary as Jason will be alerted that you're in there. After this, Jason needs to be struck with various weapons, a machete being best in order to knock his mask off. Once the mask is off, the counselor with the sweater needs to use it to stun Jason into a trance, and then strike Jason with a weapon to bring him to his knees. Finally, Tommy with either a machete or axe needs to get up close and deliver the final blow. This ends with a slow-mo cinematic of Tommy killing Jason, and everyone receives bonus XP. That covers the win conditions, but before moving on to perks, let's discuss some general tips and miscellaneous information which can be useful. When entering and exiting cabins, take note of broken windows. If it can be helped, try to avoid climbing in through here, as it does damage. Also, avoid crashing through windows unless it's absolutely necessary. Some Jason players also make it a point to break windows they see as they pass through to make it more difficult for counselors to keep running away for long. There are various places you can hide in, such as under beds, in closets, outhouses, tents, etc. They make it trickier for Jason to spot you, but the downside is if Jason interacts with a hiding spot you're in, it's an instant kill. Your composure may give you away, meaning at some point Jason can sense your exact location regardless of the fact you're hiding. So in general, I don't rely on these that much, but I do still use them, namely because entering them helps reduce your fear levels. So if you were close to Jason, but he didn't see you, you can hide for a bit and help reduce your footprint. Just don't stay in there for too long. You can usually be the last person standing if you hide the whole game, but once you are, your fear skyrockets, making you an easy target. Finally, bear in mind that, as is typical of any game played online, some people will prefer to play it in stupid ways. If you see a counselor that seems to be following Jason, and Jason is making no effort to kill them, they're probably working together. And this is bad, because this person will be able to tell him exactly where you are, and even help him kill you. There's nothing you can do about this, and it's usually little kids that do it that shouldn't be playing this game in the first place. Just conclude the match, get your XP, and leave the lobby, then find another one. Now, let's touch upon the last subject of this guide, perks. You'll notice 3 slots on the counselor select screen which can be filled with perks. When you go to the perk selection, you'll see an option called roll perk, which costs 500 CP. You'll be given a random perk of random rarity level. You can then equip this perk or sell it. The more rare it is, the more of your CP you'll get back. Selling an epic perk gives you back the full 500 CP purchase price. I would heavily recommend all your CP starting out goes towards counselor perks, because these help out a lot. I say this because CP can also be spent on Jason to get different types of kills, which are nice, but they don't help you play as Jason any better. Deck out your counselor first, and then splurge on better kills. The perks are universal, meaning they can be equipped on any counselor. No need to roll perks for individual counselors. There are several perks in game, so I'm not going to go over each one, but I will mention a few worth searching for. Perks come in 5 qualities: poor, common, uncommon, rare, and epic. Perks will also have a negative effect, with higher qualities having less or no negative effect, as well as an increase to its positive effect. Heavy Hitter increases the stun time when using a baseball bat. This is useful if you play as a high strength or luck character, with an epic having a 35 to 40% stun time increase. Homebody decreases the chance you'll be detected by Jason's sense ability while indoors, with an epic increasing that chance by up to 20%. Level-headed is like Homebody, but better because it works generally. It increases your chance to avoid Jason's sense ability by up to 15%. Medic lets you use First Aid Spray twice before it's exhausted. It also increases healing done. This is great not only for your own survival, but other players, as you can use your spray to heal others if you step up close to them. Preparedness is a perk I use all the time. Though some players feel the slot is wasted, it simply starts you off with a map. It also gives you an up to 10% resistance to fear effects. While some games it may seem like a waste because I find 40 maps, some games there is none, and honestly being able to see the map from the start helps me plan stuff better. Finally, Sucker Punch increases your melee stun chance by up to 25%. Find the perks that work for you and keep rolling till you have the perfect loadout. That's all I have to say about counselors, and honestly this video ran a bit longer than I anticipated, but I hope it helps you survive the night. Stay tuned for the next video where I talk about Jason gameplay, and I'll see you next time.